they had a relatively busy deadline day. They had I would say if you look at the prognosticators, the folks, our friends at ESPN, Kristen Shilton and Greg Wyszynski, gave the Flames an A- for their work. The folks at The Athletic, I believe, gave them either a 7 or an 8 out of 10. Very few people got a 9. So the Flames were one of the better teams, according to The Athletic, according to ESPN, according to Sporting News, NHL.com. Basically, anyone who writes about professional hockey in the National Hockey League went, Flames did pretty well. So in case you've been living under a rock for the last 2 months, and if you have been, we're sorry, someone should have gotten you out of there earlier. So here are the moves the Flames made. The Flames made, I think technically, we'll just run through the moves. This is all the transactions the Flames have made regarding their reserve list since basically the beginning of February. So the Flames, one, traded for Tyler Toffoli. They sent a first-round pick in 2022, which is lottery protected, but spoiler, they're about 6 wins away from clinching a playoff spot. So it will be kind of useless. They're not going to need the lottery protection, but they had it. It's a lottery protected 2022 first-round pick. Shane, jump in if I get this detail wrong, a 5th round pick in 2023.
Yes.
And the rights to Emil Heineman and Tyler Pitlick. Tyler Pitlick went immediately to the injured reserve for Montreal. And then recently, I believe he's skating again. I don't think he's played yet, but
he hasn't played
there. So yeah, so it's basically the Flames giving up 4 pieces. Granted, Pitlick was not playing. So they essentially just took Pitlick's roster spot, swapped in Tyler Toffoli. It's a Tyler for Tyler trade. And Bob Gironco, he's been playing pretty well. He slotted into originally the 3rd line, and now he's sort of in that 2nd, 3rd line mix. He's been playing up a bit most recently with Johnny Gaudreau and Elias Lindholm. So that's trade number 1. Flames added Toffoli on Valentine's Day. So far, it has been pretty good. Tyler Toffoli is not a rental. He has 2 full years remaining on his contract that runs through 2024. So he's going to be a Flame for a while at a $4.25 million cap hit. Pretty reasonable. The next move the Flames made was, according to Pierre LeBrun at The Athletic and TSN, kind of related to that trade. The Flames, I believe March 2nd, traded future considerations to the Montreal Canadiens for Michael McNiven. The gist of this, according to LeBrun and others, was basically when the Flames made the trade with Montreal, Montreal wanted to free up some spots in the reserve list. As many of you may know, the NHL limits you to 50 active NHL contracts. So if you're above 20 and older and playing in pro hockey, your contract counts towards the 50 contract limit. Montreal, maybe you want to go get some European free agents before the end of the season. Maybe you want to add some college free agents before the end of the season. You need open contract spots to do it. So apparently part of the deal with the Flames was they would take on a contract. Montreal and the Flames discussed it. It was decided that Michael McNiven, a goaltender withoout a home, would be the guy. Michael McNiven played, I think, a game or a period or something in the NHL, but primarily an AHL and ECHL goaltender during his pro career. He is no longer on his entry-level contract, so there was really no spot in Montreal's system for him. Montreal had Kevin Poulin and I believe Cedric Primo, Caden Primo, as their goalies in with the AHL's Laval Rocket.
They had a lot of.
Laval Rocket is a fantastic name for a hockey club. But anyway, Montreal had their goalies in the NHL. They had their goalies in the AHL. And because McNiven was no longer on an entry-level contract, they could not option him to Trois-Rivières. Again, amazing name for a hockey club. They couldn't send him to Trois-Rivières, to the Lion. I don't know if they have that accent on the Lion. The Trois-Rivières Lion in the ECHL. So they couldn't send him to the coast. So they sent him to the Flames. We'll revisit McNiven later, but the Flames basically got a free goalie for nothing because Montreal really valued having an open contract spot. Great. Next trade the Flames made, the day before St. Patrick's Day on the 16th of March, the Flames traded for the player that, we were literally recording a podcast last week when this happened. The player that us, Pat Steinberg, Chris,
the whole market, basically.
Haley Salvian at The Athletic, our friend at The Athletic, pretty much everyone who saw the Flames roster and kind of figured, as soon as Tyler Toffoli slotted in, a lot of folks look for Toffoli-ish fits, as in people who could slot in and wouldn't need a lot of time to really get up and running because of personal connections to the team. And every one of their dog, maybe not Bag Milk's dog, Frank, but pretty much every one of their dog went, hey, the Flames and Mr. Calle Jarnkrok make a lot of sense. He's Elias Lindholm's cousin, for heaven's sake. He grew up in the same town as Jacob Pelche. They all trained together in the summer. Or not Jacob Pelche, Jacob Markstrom.
I was going to say what?
Pelche, he won an award this week.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, we grew up with Markstrom in Jalve.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
No, I took a bit of Swedish, but my Swedish is incredibly rusty. But they grew up in the same town together. They trained in the off season, and so the Flames did go out and get from the Seattle Kraken Mr. Calle Jarnkrok. So what the deal was, a 2022 second round pick, the one they acquired from Florida in the Sam Bennett trade.
Yep.
A 2023 third round pick, and then a seventh round pick in 2024. So 3 draft picks spread out over 3 different drafts. 2 top 90-ish picks.
The seventh was an absolute. They're all dartboards for in round 5, 6, 7, anyways. So
yeah, and if you're
just for retention,
my guess is the way it was broken down was essentially just it was a second and a third for Jarnkrok, and then it was a seventh rounder to get them to retain a half a salary. So
which was like, I think we calculated it. It wasn't much. It was like $300,000 at that point of the season or something.
He's a pending unrestricted free agent. The Flames get him for half his usual $2 million AAV, so $1 million. Pretty tidy business. Fits, right shot guy, can play everywhere. Very versatile. I know Mike McNiven at Daily Faceoff thought it was a little bit much to pay, but the Flames, I think, paid the premium because they wanted that player.
You got the
Seattle,
guy.
I think if you're Seattle, you can probably see the fit and see how well Toffoli did, and think you can probably get a little, you can chisel the Flames a little bit. But Elliot Friedman over at Sportsnet pointed out that the Matthias Janmark trade was a second and a third.
There's another center depth center that went.
Nashville went to LA. I'm blanking on the name, but another, yeah.
Victor Arvidsson.
Arvidsson was the second and a third.
Arvidsson was a second and a third. So
yeah, it's a second and a third for the player, which is market value for a player of that role. And then
established top 9. An established top 9 player, middle 6 player goes for a second and a third, and that's.
Yeah. So
and you know what? It was the player they wanted. It was the player they needed. The player they targeted, and this is the year they want to. They already traded most of their other draft picks, so why not?
If you were going to try to get him for less, I'm pretty sure Ron Francis is astute enough to know that this is the player the Flames would have wanted, and he might have if I were Ron Francis, I would have said, here's the cost, take it or leave it. And the Flames took it. So, I don't think
it's the first rental Brad's trade for that their salary was over $1 million.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. So that he was willing to pay for the player, he really wanted him, because normally it's the Forborts, the Fantenbergs, the Gustafsons, the whatever the depth was. Yeah. So but that's what I was thinking too. I was like, that's the first UFA without any term that he's paid for that was over $1 million. That he's played more over a third round pick for too.
What was Gustafson's cap hit?
Yeah. Gustafson's, it was like under $1 million. It was like 800,000. Yeah. He was just kind of trying to stay in the league kind of thing, because he had that super year in Chicago where he got like 60 points playing on power play 1, and then he's just never got back to that. But he was playing on a power play with Kane and DeBrincat. So he can rack up the assists pretty good if you just know where to pass the puck.
So on deadline day in itself, after all kinds of other stuff happened, 3 things happened to impact the Flames. 1, Brad Richardson got claimed off waivers by the Vancouver Canucks. Richardson was on waivers because I think the Flames were in the mindset of maybe they'll add something, maybe they won't. He played less than Stone. The last little while he played less than Stone. He played less than Brett Ritchie. So I think their mindset was he's the easiest guy to put on waivers. 30, just turned 37. 800K, guy has a cup ring but hasn't played a ton this year, and so he goes to Vancouver. I think decent fit for Vancouver. He used to play for the Canucks. Opens up a roster spot for the Flames. The Flames use that roster spot and it's primarily the cap space to get Ryan Carpenter for a 2024 fifth rounder. And yeah, Ryan Carpenter, $1 million, right shot center, plays bottom six.
Defensive.
He's a non-entity offensively. He
does not shoot the puck. Does not shoot the puck. The guy will shoot the puck. The guy will hang back. He won't go down past the top of the circles. He is strictly out there to play defense.
Yeah, if you're looking for somebody just to be a black hole of offense in all three zones for your team,
nothing will happen.
Yeah.
Nothing will happen, and that's good. It'll give everyone else a break.
Doesn't he feel like a Sudbury player? I mean, Bradford said he fits the style we play. That was the quote.
How long as well have we been preaching, okay, we need more right-hand shots on this team? Yarncroke, Toffoli, and Carpenter all hold their stick the right-hand way. So now all of a sudden you can mix and match. Like I wrote that Carpenter could possibly fit with Backlund and Coleman if they want to do that shutdown again instead of Lewis. So it just opens up more possibilities. I love the Carpenter.
Yeah, they ended up having a net gain of right shot forwards in the trade deadline period. So that I think that's a win. They traded, they ended up moving a bunch of picks, which I think you can do right now because the Flames. We'll get into the depth in a little bit, but I think the Flames have enough pieces in their system that you can take a year and not really have too many picks as of right now.
They didn't trade anybody, right? Other than Heineman, they didn't lose a prospect.
And he wasn't even a guy they drafted. So, I mean, overall, they have 3 picks in the 2022 draft. You can get away with that if you think you're going to, contend for something. But that's not something you can do every year.
You could trade down to and get some more fourth and you could trade from the second to the third and pick up a fifth. And
knowing how the Flames operate, I think in Montreal on that second day, with their second round pick, they'll trade back maybe into the early third to try to gain some kicks of the can because I think they trust their scouting group enough to do that. So that's where they're at now. They also, I know your guys.
Biggest trade of the day. The biggest trade of the day is the one you haven't talked about.
Oh, we're going to get to it. So Michael McNiven, after spending, I think, the better part of 3 weeks with Stockton and never dressing or playing in any way, was traded to the Ottawa Senators. The Ottawa Senators at that point needed a minor league defense or minor league goalie. They had a spot for him in Belleville. So he's going to Belleville. He'll be playing with he got traded to Ottawa for future considerations, not Aaron Vickers' website. Basically a bunch of ruminations on when the Flames will do anything. So future considerations got them Michael McNiven, and they got future considerations back for Michael McNiven. So
they missed him so much. They just needed future considerations back in the system.
You always need future considerations. BT Dubs, FC Hockey does a fantastic draft guide. So once we get closer to the draft, and it might not be as useful for Flames fans this year, but if you're looking to get a lot of details about some deeper picks in every draft, I do not gain anything financially from plugging future considerations. Cross my heart, but they're just good people, and they do a lot of hard work. They're basically the 33rd NHL team with the number of scouts they have out there. So that's my plug for my friends who do really good work. I know probably half of the people who work for future considerations in North America. They are absolutely essential Twitter follows and just dynamite people. So yeah, the Flames ended up, they made a bunch of things happen. They did a bunch of things, and I think. I think they had a pretty good deadline. If you look at the moves in the aggregate, I think outside of, they didn't add a defenseman at all, but if you looked at how the holes we thought they had 2 months ago, the beginning of February, when the Olympics were going on and we were, squawking about the Flames depth, I think they addressed the things they needed to address. So I think all in all, Shane, when people say, oh, I'm loath to give the Flames a letter grade because I don't know. I think it's, Brian Burke always said you judge trades with a calendar, not with a stopwatch. And I stand by that. But I think for the things the Flames probably felt they needed to do to give themselves the best chance of playing for a while once the standings stop counting and, we start whittling things down, I think they did a good job with it.